Welcome to the channel. Today's story is full of surprises and real drama. Subscribe and like to stay updated. Let's dive in. I'm Alex Johnson, and my wife's name is Natalie. She hates being called Jess, so everyone sticks to Natalie. My friends and family call me Tommy, but my boss, who's a bit formal, just calls me Tom. We get along, and I enjoy my job as a lawyer, focusing on corporate law at a consulting firm. The hours are long, but I have some freedom to adjust my schedule when needed. Natalie works for a creative agency, mainly editing from home. This setup lets her take care of our 3 kids, a 9-year-old daughter, a 7-year-old daughter, and a 6-year-old son. We're like most families, keeping up with the kids' activities and making time for date nights when we can. We aim to go out at least once a month, though it doesn't always happen. Up until recently, I thought Natalie was happy with our life. I was satisfied, working about 50 hours a week. I believed we had a good relationship, our sex life was healthy, and I always showed how much I valued her as both my wife and the kids' mom. On one of our date nights out about a year ago, Natalie started a conversation that changed everything. "Tommy, have you ever thought that we might be missing out on some things?" "Jeepers, I don't know." "What sort of things are you thinking about, Natalie?" "Well, we've fallen into a bit of a rut lately." "I'm not following you, dear." "What does that rut look like to you?" "Well, it seems that all we do lately is work and takes a dane of the kids. We don't have time for ourselves." I thought about that and figured I knew what she was leading up to. "Would you like to get away for a vacation, just the 2 of us? We could get your folks to take the kids for a week. If you want to get away to the Bali for some sun and the beach, we could both use a tan." "That would be great, sweetie, but I had something else in mind to give our lives a bit of a lift." I was now curious about what she was getting at. "Just what are you thinking, dear?" Natalie swallowed hard and started. "You know how we've role-played picking up others and having sex with them? What if we were to actually do that?" "What the hell are you talking about?" My heart rate went up a bit, and not in a good way. "Hear me out for a minute. I'm just saying, what if we were to explore the idea of an open marriage? We would take it slow, and see if it was for us before doing anything big and committing to anything." I was flustered, I'll admit. This caught me off guard. I had no idea what to say. "Think about it, Tom. What if we were to find other people that are compatible with us to have sex with on an occasional basis without the complications of romantic entanglements or commitments? Think about the passion and intensity that we could bring back to our marriage and to each other." I suddenly realized that I was holding my breath and my blood pressure was rising fast. "Just what are you suggesting, Natalie? You want to have an affair with another man?" She smiled. "It wouldn't be an affair, dear. It would be casual sex, no romantic entanglements, no relationship like our marriage, and just occasionally, maybe a couple of times a month. That's all. What do you think?" What the hell was I supposed to think? "So, let me get this straight, you want to go out and have sex with other men once a month?" "Well, it doesn't have to be exactly once a month. It could be less or maybe more, depending on what we want." I could not have been more stunned than if she had hit me with a hammer. I thought a moment. "And we both get to do this?" "Yes, of course, we both get to experience the excitement. Just think of the new things that we might learn about how we can pleasure each other that we don't do now. Just think about the renewed passion that we might feel for each other." I exhaled. "Just how would we go about this? Do you have someone in mind now that you are planning to hook up with, if I agree?" "And right now, I don't agree. Natalie, just think about it for a minute. We get to have sex without any commitments. It would be at a time that wouldn't interfere with each other or the kids, and we would always be there for all the things that we do now. Our family would not be affected, and our individual lives might be better off for it. As a couple, we benefit through the increase of passion that we can show to each other." In the back of my mind, I knew that something didn't add up here. Natalie always has a plan in mind for everything, and this was no different. I figured that she had had too much time to fantasize about this and possibly had a man in mind that she would like to have sex with if I agreed to it. "So, let me get this straight one more time. You and I can each find a partner to have sex with outside our marriage. You won't get jealous or angry or offended if I have sex with another woman, and you expect me to not get offended or jealous if you have sex with another man. Is that what you want?" "Yes, that's essentially it. What do you think? Could we give it a try?" I had to try and get to the central issue here if I was to find out the truth. Who is the guy that you wanted to have sex with? If I do agree to this crazy idea, when would you want to start, and who do you want to start with? Who is the guy that you have in mind? She was so eager for me to agree with her plan that she actually tipped her hand slightly. Well, there is a guy, Ethan, at the editorial group who has been asking me to go to lunch with him whenever I visit the office. He's younger than us, and according to others who work with him, he has a girlfriend. The cat was out of the bag. She had the hots for some young guy named Ethan. So, Ethan, eh? So, what do you think, dear? Are you willing to be adventurous, and see what new excitement we can have to make our marriage better? I still don't see how you screwing another man is going to make our marriage better. If you want better sex for us, why not see what we can do together to make it better with each other, not someone else? How is adding another man to your life going to make sex with me better? This is about you and me, dear. Just think what new things we can bring to each other, kind of like bringing in a consultant to give us new ideas. Why don't we just go see a sex therapist, the two of us? You having an affair with some guy doesn't sound like it will benefit me at all. Natalie was clearly having a hard time dismissing the idea of going to see a sex therapist. Honey, you'll see that my idea is a good one for us. Believe me, I would never do anything that would harm us or our marriage. This will be for both of us. I was starting to get exasperated with this talk from her. Natalie, I don't own you. I can't tell you what to do. I can only tell you what I think and what this might do to you and me and our family. But Tom, this will be an adventure for both of us. Just imagine how much better we can be for each other through learning from others. Natalie, we're not talking about a night school course here. You're talking about having sexual intercourse with another man. Jesus. I got up from the table and went to the men's room to throw cold water on my face. While I stared at myself in the mirror, I knew that she was up to no good and figured that she was going to do whatever she wanted, no matter what I said or did. I dried my face and hands and went back to the table. I wasn't in the least bit convinced that Natalie's plan would make our marriage any better. My feeling was that it would bring a whole new level of complexity to our lives. We already had enough to manage without having to add in sexual liaisons with other people, even if it was agreed to beforehand. The thing for me was that I married Natalie expecting we would be only for each other. That's the thing about marriage, there is an expectation of loyalty and monogamy. At least that's what I thought. We even said it in our marriage vows that we would be faithful to each other. Clearly, my wife was not getting sexual satisfaction from me. That part made me depressed. The next 10 days were tense between us. She kept smiling at me with the unspoken expectation that I would suddenly blurt out my agreement with her plan. She even stepped up the normal sex routine that we had of twice a week. For a full week, she wanted to have sex every night after we put the kids to bed. She would grab my hand and lead me to the bedroom. We got into the shower and washed off the dust of the day and explored each other with her soapy hands. Natalie was sexy and fit, and clearly wanted to get drilled more than twice a week. Had I been ignoring her needs? When we dried off and got into bed, she was more eager than I had seen her in years. She wanted me to take her in lots of different positions that we hadn't used since before we had children. Maybe we had gotten into a rut, but was sex with others the solution to the problem? A week later, with no more talk about an open marriage, I figured that maybe she had come to her senses and realized it was a bad idea. Maybe our increased sex was what she really wanted all along. I was wrong. Natalie was still screwing me every night, and after one especially hot session where she did me twice, she brought it up again. Honey, have you thought about my suggestion of giving an open marriage a try? In all honesty, I was hoping that all this extra sex was an indication that you might have decided that you didn't want to go down that road anymore. Tom, sex with you these past 10 days or so has been great, but we have done pretty much the same thing almost every time. We need to change things up, make it more interesting. That's what I'm hoping we learn from others. I was disappointed that she still wanted to have sex outside our marriage. So, I guess that means you still want us to have an open marriage so that you can have sex with other men? My dejected tone suggested that I was still unhappy with that idea. Don't make it sound so tawdry, Tom. This is an opportunity for us to grow individually and bring back new experiences to our marriage. So, the passion and intensity that you were seeking, you're not getting now with me? It's not like that, Tom. This is a chance for both of us to seek out new things for us to bring back to our relationship. I think it will make us stronger as a couple. Natalie, like I told you before, I don't own you. You make decisions all the time about what you want and don't want. If this is what you truly want, then I suppose you are going to go ahead and do it even if I am against it. Be very disdainful about what it is you're looking for, because there may be unintended consequences of every decision that you make. Thank you, Tom. You'll see that this will be good for both of us. With that little discussion, it was pretty much done. I left the bedroom to go get a drink, something strong. I knew my marriage was over and there was no use trying to make her change her mind. Natalie had gotten what she wanted, a never-ending hall pass to go out and have sex with as many other men as she wanted. There was little that I could do to dissuade her from her plan. This was just so messed up, but it was time she'd be ready for consequences. 1 month later, Natalie wasted no time hooking up with Ethan from her work. They were meeting 2 nights a week, and even though we had agreed that there would be no overnight stays with lovers, after the 4th rendezvous with him, she started texting me late to say that she had had some wine to drink and thought she shouldn't drive. How convenient. I told her to take a cab. We sat down for a discussion after the kids were in bed on a Saturday to talk about what we had been doing for the last month. Natalie, we need to get a few things sorted out about this open marriage business so that we're not doing things that the other person is not comfortable with or does not agree to. Tom, what sort of things are you talking about? Well, for starters, we agreed that there would not be any overnighters, but you have stayed overnight with Ethan now 4 times in the last 10 days. That's not what we agreed to when we started this. I want you home at night. I'm frankly worried about you when you are not here. You don't tell me where you are going, and that has to stop. Are you just angry that you have to get the kids ready for school by yourself? No, the kids have nothing to do with this. This is about you, your actions, and our agreement. Okay, no more overnighters. What next? Maybe we need to come up with a written agreement and both of us acknowledge our responsibilities to each other, the kids, and as a family. But Tom, that's ridiculous. We're adults. We can manage this easily. I suppose, but communication is, I believe, the key to making this work for us. If you keep turning your cell phone off when you are with another man, that worries me. Your safety is a big concern for me. The other big concern is protection. Is your lover using condoms? Tom, I'm taking birth control if that's what you're worried about. Natalie, what I'm worried about is sexually transmitted diseases. Did Ethan show you a doctor's note that said he was clean of any STDs? I didn't really ask, Tom. I'm sure that he is fine. So, Ethan's not using condoms? Does he orgasm inside you? Natalie flushed a bit at that question. Why, yes, he does. So, if he did have an STD and didn't tell you about it and passed it to you, then you could easily pass it to me if we ever have sex again. Natalie was silent at that question. In my mind, I already made the decision that I was not going to have sex with my wife anymore, not in this lifetime, but why should I tell her? At least now, Natalie, when you made the decision that you did not want to have a monogamous marriage anymore, that decision brought responsibilities with it. Is it your intent to stop having sex with me? This had to be said. Of course not, Tom. I love you very much. We have children, and we want to grow old together and take sedane of each other. I was getting more and more upset by her lack of concern for both our welfare. I wasn't sure what to say next to her. I want to talk to Ethan. Natalie was shocked at my demand. What? Why would you want to talk to him? I want to meet him and talk to him. I want to make sure that he has your safety and interest in mind. What I really wanted was to find out if Natalie had been telling him the truth about what our agreement was, and did he understand that she was having sex without the expectation that there would be a romantic connection. I wasn't confident that Natalie had made that clear to Ethan. She was way too secretive about what she was doing for my liking. I suspected that he was expecting things that she couldn't give him, or at least told him that she wasn't going to give him, like love. Was she in love with this guy? If she was developing feelings of love for him, it's a rare woman or man that can love 2 people in the same way. As a person develops feelings for one person, their level of intimacy and love for another will go down. That's human nature, just the way that people are wired. I knew I had already lost my wife the day the idea of an open marriage came to her mind, and there was little I could do about it. I had not done a thing to go find my own sex partner. Frankly, It didn't interest me that much up until now, but now I was suddenly seeing a different side of my wife and figured that what was good for her should also be good for me. 6 months later, okay, it's now been a few months since we started living as an open marriage couple. Natalie has a full-time boyfriend. First, it had been Ethan, and now it was a guy named Liam that she is seeing frequently. About 5 months ago, I made a point of going to meet Ethan. Natalie was against it, and the more that she begged, the more certain I was that I was going to go have a visit with him and chat about the woman that he was screwing, my wife. So, one day I went to the creative agency office to find him. It was a day that I knew that Natalie would be working from home. I showed up at the offices, and the receptionist gave me directions to Ethan's cubicle. He was there. Now, I have to say that I was surprised by the young man that I met. He was in his mid-20s, about my height, with brown hair and a slight build. I introduced myself, and as he stood to shake my hand, he quickly realized that I was Natalie's husband. He pulled his hand back fast. What was that all about? Hello, Ethan, I'm Alex Johnson, Natalie Carter's husband. We need to talk. Let's go someplace so we can talk privately. We have a lot to discuss. I motioned for him to follow me. I wasn't sure that he was going to, but he did it, rather nervously, I could tell. Maybe he thought that I was there to kick the crap out of him. My sense was that his take on his relationship with my wife was very different from mine. We went to a coffee shop and got some coffee and a croissant. I wanted him to feel relaxed enough to talk to me. So Ethan, please tell me a little about yourself. Ethan was nervous, for sure. It took a lot of questions to get to the truth of his understanding of the relationship that he had with Natalie, and just what his expectations of her were. After some questioning, I started to get some answers out of him that revealed their true relationship. It seems that Natalie started having sex with Ethan about a month before she and I had agreed to an open marriage. Ethan had never used condoms. He said that he was disease-free and was willing to go see a doctor to get tested. He said that Natalie had told him that our marriage was not doing well and that I was not emotionally supportive enough of her, and she was contemplating separation and maybe divorce. She also told him that I was okay with her having sex with other men. Ethan finally asked me if I was upset with him, and if I was planning to try and get revenge against him in some way. I reassured him, no, I wasn't going to try and beat the crap out of him. He seemed visibly relaxed by that. I did tell him that from this point onward, he would use condoms with Natalie, and that wasn't debatable. If I found out that he had not been using condoms, I would come and see him and express my displeasure in very tangible and physical ways. Does your girlfriend know that you are having sex with Natalie? What girlfriend? Natalie is my girlfriend. Natalie told me that you had a girlfriend and that having sex with her was in addition to your other relationship. My last girlfriend and I broke up months ago. Natalie is my only girlfriend now. That spoke volumes about just how honest Natalie was being with me. She had lied to me about her relationship with Ethan and what she saw as the future for them. Her view of the future looked very different than my view just then. A couple of nights later, Natalie was really pissed at me for having gone to see Ethan. Tom, why the hell did you go see Ethan? He says that you were pissed at him and threatened him. I was grinning inwardly. Did he tell you that I told him that he is not to have sex with you unless he uses a condom? Yes, he did, but condoms take all the fun out of it. Why are you wanting that? We're both disease-free, for Christ's sake. She was hot under the collar now. I took the high road. Honey, I'm only looking out for your safety here. We agreed that you and he were going to use condoms. You agreed to that. Natalie muttered something under her breath and stormed off. We didn't talk for 2 days. When we did talk, she was fuming again. Are you happy now? Ethan has broken it off with me. I won't be seeing him again. That's what you really wanted, wasn't it, when you went to see him? What I wanted, dear wife, was to make sure that you were safe and not going to get a disease that could do you great harm or kill you. That's what I wanted. I also wanted to make sure that any disease wasn't passed to me, but I don't need to worry about that, do I? Since we haven't had sex together now for so long that I forget when it was the last time. What happened to the idea that this whole open marriage business was going to be good for us as a couple and benefit our marriage? When is that part going to start, Natalie? I was pissed at her, and she knew it full well. Well, I hope you're happy now, and she stormed off. A chill descended over our marriage. It was a very quiet month. We barely talked to one another, and then it all suddenly changed. Natalie announced that she was meeting a new man. She got dressed up in her tightest see-through blouse and skirt and put on 4-inch high heels. Her hair and makeup were perfect, and she had put on a new perfume that I didn't remember her using before. Suddenly she was as sweet as could be. She called me dear for the first time in a while as she said that she was going out to meet someone that she met online. A large flare went off in the back of my brain. Okay, where are you going, and who are you meeting? Also, remember, dear, that you are expected home tonight, and I do mean tonight, not at 4 a.m. Things spiraled out of my control fast after that, but I did get a name, and what he did for a living, and that he was divorced. She had started out seeing Liam once a week, and now, after a couple of months, was almost living with him. She only sleeps at home a couple of nights a week, sometimes only one, and it's usually only when her lover is away with his job. I think he is a sales representative for a biotech firm, but I'm not fully certain since Natalie doesn't want to share information about him. I got fed up with what she was doing and moved her things to the spare bedroom. She was surprised by that, but I said that it would be more convenient if I had someone over for the night, especially since I was the parent responsible for the kids full-time. Her idea that being able to have a relationship with another man that would bring passion and intensity to our marriage hadn't really come true. It did bring drama, lots of drama. I was getting increasingly more frustrated with Natalie. I should have just divorced her a long time ago, but I didn't. I did not want the kids to grow up in a broken home. Besides, even if I leave, the kids will be left with a mother who was not with them at nights. It was a difficult time for me. I did not understand what was in her mind for wanting to screw around like this, and what was going in my mind for allowing it. Yes, you were saying that I'm screwed up as well, and you would likely be right. I was way too lenient with her, and her nonsense. I was doing the parenting duties without her being at home to do her share. It was noticeable with the kids, and they were wanting their mother to be around. They asked almost every day where she was and why did she have to be away so much. At first, I said that she was spending time with a friend and she would be back soon, but being around only 1 or 2 nights a week didn't give the kids comfort that she was telling them the truth when she would say that she loved them. The oldest, who was now 9, said, "Dad, why does Mom spend so much time with her friend? Who is her friend?" I had a hard time explaining that one. Natalie had started missing important things that she had usually done for the kids. I got a call from the school one afternoon saying that the regularly scheduled parent-teacher interviews had taken place the day before and no one was there to talk about our children. The vice principal that called said that normally Natalie was there and asked if there was some problem. They would be happy to reschedule. The school had tried to call Natalie, but her phone was turned off and went to voicemail. I apologized and said that I would call back and make an appointment the next day. When I tried to call Natalie, her cell phone went right to voicemail. I left a very terse message asking why she missed the parent-teacher meeting and to call me. She didn't call for 3 days and then blew it off as unimportant. I wanted her to come home to talk to me. She agreed to come that Friday afternoon. I took the afternoon off and got ready to make my ultimatum. On Friday afternoon, she called to say that she had to cancel but would try to come by to see me next week sometime. She was stalling. As she talked, trying to find a work excuse, I figured that her boyfriend wanted to keep her occupied, probably keep drilling her. The next big event that drew the proverbial line in the sand was our daughter's birthday. Most parents make a big deal about their children's birthdays. They're important, and it tells the kids that the parents love them and sedane about them. Kids understand that they get a present or two, they have cake and ice cream, and they usually have friends over to celebrate. My kids are no different. But when your mother forgets about your 10th birthday, you tend to notice that. I had asked Natalie a few weeks before if she was going to plan our daughter's birthday party. She initially said, "Of course, he'll do it, Tom," but there was no action, so I got on with making plans, sending out invitations to the other kids' parents, getting a present that I knew my oldest daughter wanted, booking a party venue, and organizing food. I was keen to see if Natalie remembered. She didn't. My daughter was heartbroken that her mother was not even around for her birthday party. Some of the other parents asked where Natalie was, and I gave an excuse about work. My daughter was crushed that her mother forgot about her birthday. I called Natalie's cell phone, and when she answered, I passed my phone to my daughter. "Mom, it's me. Where are you?" Natalie stalled a few seconds. What's going on, sweetheart? Mom, today is my birthday. How come you're not here? We had a party and everything, but why didn't you come? There was dead silence on the phone. My daughter thought that her mother had hung up on her and passed my cell phone back to me. Natalie, are you still there? I called her crying on the phone. Natalie, what the hell is going on with you? You missed Sophia's birthday, for heaven's sake. The phone went dead. One of the neighborhood mothers came to me and quietly asked if everything was okay with Natalie. She hadn't seen her around the street in ages, and I could tell that she sensed that we were not doing well as a couple. That night I made the decision that enough was enough. Natalie wasn't interested in me or her children, so I needed to get on with the divorce. We were for all real purposes separated. Time to take this on to its conclusion. I called Natalie the next day, and of course, her voicemail kicked in right away. I left another terse message. Call me, please. It's urgent and important. Better yet, come to the house so we can talk. I guess using the urgent word finally got her attention because after supper that night, she appeared. Tom, what is wrong? What is urgent and important? Are the kids okay? Hello, Natalie. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. We need to talk. Please sit down. She looked at her watch as I said that. Don't worry, this won't take long. Okay, what is it you want to talk about, Tom? Since you left us, the kids have been asking when you're coming home. Are you planning to come home, Natalie? Because it sure looks like you have left us. Of course, they'll be back, Tom. I told you before that this time for me right now is to find the passion and intensity that you and I have lost. When I've been able to satisfy that need, I'll be home. I'll be a better wife for you, and we'll be a family again. Sure. Just so you know, Sophia cried herself to sleep the other night when you didn't show up for her birthday party. Our other 2 children asked me if you were going to come to their birthdays. Natalie's eyes went wide, and her facial expression said it all. How the hell do you forget your children's birthdays? Now to drop the bomb on my wife and her lover. Natalie, I've decided that I want a divorce. What? Why would you want a divorce, Tom? I'll be home soon. Natalie, there is no marriage left here. You don't fulfill your duties as a wife, and since you have already left the house, I cannot fulfill my duties as a husband. To start, you should never have left in the first place. I kept silent for the sake of my kids, but this has gone way too far. You moved your clothes and worked things out months ago, and you barely remember that you have children and responsibilities to them, let alone me. My lawyer has advised me that the court will see that you have abandoned our marriage and the children. But Tom, I love you and the kids. Can't you see that? No, Natalie, I don't see any love. If you loved your husband, you would not be having sex with a different man. If you loved us so much, why did you leave us? Why did you move in with your boyfriend? You talk about bringing passion and intensity to our marriage, but that's just a joke. I am not even going to bring my kids into this discussion, as your actions have clearly displayed how much you disdain and love the kids born out of your own body. The joke has been on me. Well and done. I'm not laughing anymore. We're divorcing, and as soon as possible, so pack whatever you want and go back to him. You're not my wife anymore. I'm not your husband. I'm going to step up my efforts to find a real wife and a new mother for our children. But Tom, we're married. I'm your wife. You're my husband. I love you. I don't want a divorce. Well, I do want a divorce. I've done some homework, and the courts in this state understand and recognize when someone has abandoned the marriage. You abandoned our marriage and your children. So get out of the house. Go away back to Liam, where you clearly want to be. I don't want you anymore. Natalie looked surprised by the things that I said to her, and slowly gathered her purse and quietly walked out the door. What I had not discussed with Natalie was that while she was living with her new boyfriend, I had started a couple of weeks ago looking for a woman that I could have fun with. 2 can play at Natalie's game. I found a woman named Olivia. She had 2 kids, and her husband had walked out of their marriage for a younger woman. I went on a date with her, and my kids were very excited when I returned. The kids were in bed, but my daughter came down to the living room and wanted to know how my date went. Sweetie, it went just great. I had a very good time. Olivia is a very nice person. I like her a lot. Is she going to be our new mother? Wow, where did that come from? 10-year-olds nowadays know things that I didn't know at that age. That's not your concern, sweetie. Besides, this was only our first date. I don't know when there will be a second. Dad, is Mom ever coming back? That was a hard question to answer. I lowered my voice. I don't know, but I do know one thing, and that is that I'm never going anywhere but right here with you and your sister and brother. You can count on that. Thanks, Dad. She gave me a hug, and then we walked back to her room, and I tucked her into bed. I went to the kitchen, got a glass of water, and sat at the counter to think. My wife had pretty much abandoned her family to shack up with her lover. I had been on a date with a wonderful woman who might be my new sex buddy. Tonight, I had had the most fun of the last year. The sex had been fantastic. I wanted it to continue. I wanted a woman to share my life with again. Then my mind told me to slow down. Monday, I called my divorce lawyer to talk about getting on with the process. I had the financial numbers from before, so I knew pretty much what it was going to cost to divorce Natalie. It would mean digging into my retirement savings to pay her for her half of the house, and probably it would mean a small amount of alimony for a couple of years, but right now it seemed worth the cost. It was time. She wasn't interested in coming back, and it was clear that she no longer wanted her children or me. I told my lawyer, go ahead and serve the papers. I have an address for her, and she mostly works from home, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem to find her. Do it, and let's get this marriage over and done with. 3 days later, there was a call at the apartment where Natalie and Liam lived. The document server was skilled at getting by security doors at apartments, and so when he knocked on the door, she was the only one there. She opened the door. Natalie Carter, this is for you. He handed her the envelope. You have been served. Natalie was stunned by his words. She knew what the envelope contained. She slowly closed the door and took the envelope inside to the kitchen counter and set it down. She waited for over an hour before opening it. She had been thinking about the last year and her decisions that she had made. Were they such smart ideas? Did she really think things through when she told her husband that she wanted to take a lover? Was Liam that much of a catch that she was willing to give up her life and children for him? The sex with him was the best that she had ever had, but was it enough? Was Tom really that boring of a husband and lover that it caused her to run from him and her children? Did she dislike her old life that much to sacrifice it for Liam? Those were hard questions. She sliced open the envelope and pulled out the papers ever so sedately. It was as if she expected them to blow up in her face. She read them over: divorce citing abandonment and infidelity, division of marital property. Her husband, Tom, would have full custody of the children, but she could have visitation rights with them to be negotiated, alimony of $1,500 a month for 2 years. She dropped the papers on the kitchen counter and realized finally, oh my God, what have I done? All the lies that she had told Tom over the last year were now coming back to bite her. No longer would she be able to tell herself that she had won, that she could do whatever she wanted and Tom would not complain, that she could have sex with any man that she wanted to, and he would not have any say in it. Natalie immediately called Tom's cell phone. It went to his voicemail. She left a terse message for him to please call her about some paperwork that she just received. Next, she called her old home. No answer there either. She decided that she needed to go home to try and salvage her marriage. She found her sedan keys and purse and went out to her sedan. She drove to the house to find that her key no longer worked in any of the doors and that the code to get in the garage had also been changed. She went into full damage control mode. Natalie next drove to Tom's office. His administrative assistant, who was aware that Natalie had left him for a lover, was quick to tell her that he was out of the office and wouldn't be back that day. Since talking to him there wasn't going to work, she had no choice but to drive back to her old house and wait for Tom and the kids when they came home from school. The kids showed up from school around 4 p.m., along with their after-school sitter. The kids were openly cold to her, and her oldest flatly refused to even acknowledge her mother other than a terse, "What are you doing here?" Natalie sat in the dining room as the kids ate a snack and started their homework. She noticed that Tom had done some redecorating since she had last been there. There were different things on the walls, different curtains as well, and a couple of pieces of new furniture. Finally, around 5:15, Tom pulled in the driveway. When he came in the back door from the garage, she jumped up to greet him. "Tom, honey, I'm home and so glad you're here." "Honey, we need to talk about some papers that were delivered to me today. Excellent, Natalie. Did you sign them and bring them with you? I signed them before my lawyer had them sent over to you. I think what I'm offering is both fair and in accordance with family law and divorce law in the state. The kids are staying here with me. I'm not negotiable on that, but you can have visitation with them if you want to and if they want to see you. Sweetie, I'm going to come home tonight. I've decided that I really need you and the kids in my life again. I was wrong when I thought that I needed to find something with another person. You and the kids are all that I need. I know that now. I'm coming home, and I will work hard to be a good wife for you and a mother for our kids. Not so fast, Natalie. When you decided to abandon your family for Liam, you made that decision. I do recall that I tried to talk you out of it several times, but you were adamant that it was what you wanted to do. Well, you did it, and now you have to live with the consequences. So, no, you're not coming back. Your home is with Liam now, so you can go home to him. You don't live here anymore. You haven't for a year. Natalie was quietly sobbing now, and I handed her some tissues to blow her nose. I waited for a few minutes for her to compose herself. I think it's time for you to go. Can I see the kids, please? Okay, I'll go get them. I went upstairs to get the kids and told them that their mother was downstairs and wanted to see them. They were hesitant to see her, but after some discussion and convincing by me that they didn't have to say anything to her if they didn't want to, they slowly followed me down to the kitchen. It had been months since they last saw their mother. Natalie smiled at them and said, "Hi kids, I need a hug from you." They all stood still and didn't make a move toward their mother. The oldest, Sophia, asked her, "Why did you leave us and Dad?" Natalie started crying again. "I'm coming home, kids. I've missed you all so much. I love you all so much." My daughter countered fast, "If you love us so much, why did you leave us and stay away so long?" Natalie had a shocked look on her face at that question. The answer she had was not one that she wanted to admit, that she wanted to have consequence-free sex with men other than her husband and not worry about her family and what it would do to them. She didn't give a damn about her family, only herself. Only now was she realizing what she was losing. I jumped in. "Kids, why don't you go back upstairs? Your mother and I have a lot of things to talk about right now, and it's best if we do that with just the two of us." The kids all scowled at their mother as they left the kitchen. Sophia led her sister and brother back to their rooms. I waited a couple of minutes, then began. "So, are you so sure that leaving us for your boyfriend Liam was such a great idea? I mean, did you actually believe that you could leave for so long, and then come back as if nothing had changed between us at all?" I waited for her to answer but got nothing except her continued sniffling and blowing her nose. "I've started to move on, in case you didn't know that. I guess you just figured it out when you were served the divorce papers today. You hot-footed it over here quick when you saw that your family had had enough of your nonsense." More silence. More sniffling. "So you can pack up all of your things that you haven't already taken. I put everything that I could find in some boxes. It's all in the garage, so it should be easy for you to manage. You can get Liam to help you take them. If there is something else from here that you want to take, let me know. You can have whatever you want except me and the kids." I waited another minute to see if Natalie had anything to say. "Nothing. I think you should go now. I don't have anything else to tell you. I don't want you back. The kids aren't keen for you to come back. You need to go home to Liam. Get your lawyer to look at the divorce papers if you want, and we can have them sort out the fine details." I got up and started to move to the front door. I opened it and waited for her to go. "Goodbye, Natalie." She sat looking defeated for a moment, then stood up, grabbed her bag, and walked out the front door. I shut the door behind her and exhaled a big breath. 3 months later, my lawyer scheduled a final meeting for us to sign the divorce documents. We did some haggling about visits with the kids, but in the end, we agreed that the kids should not be forced to visit their mother if they didn't want to. The first few visits would be supervised by grandparents, and then if things went well, Natalie would have the kids on her own for visits. The kids would decide if they wanted to see their mother. If they didn't, then a visit with her wasn't going to happen. As it turned out, they did have a couple of visits, but when they met Liam, they were not keen to go back. They thought he was creepy. They're a good judge of character, in my estimation. My time with Olivia progressed to the point that we were spending more and more time together. We would meet up 2 or 3 times a week. On one of our dates, I suggested to her that we do some other things outside of the great sex that we were enjoying. I offered up a chance to take in some activities with our kids. Her daughters were about the same age as my 2 youngest, and I was keen for my kids to meet her kids. Who knows what would happen? We took the kids to the zoo and had pizza after as a first outing. Things went well, the kids got along great, and so my relationship with Olivia went from being sex buddies to fool-in dating. A year later, okay, it's been a while now, and lots of things have changed in my life. I'm a couple of years older, and a year wiser. I'm living with Olivia, or I should say the 7 of us are living together. 5 kids are a handful, no matter what anyone says. We all fit in my house nicely, and with a bit of doubling up of 2 of the girls in one of the rooms, we live just fine. We have become a family. Olivia and I got married just after we amalgamated our 2 families into one. It was a small ceremony with family and a few friends. We got married by a judge friend in the Maldives on a beach. It was fantastic. We have a date night once a week where we pay attention to each other, and in addition to great sex, we talk a lot. We agreed that we need to never stop talking to one another, no matter what it is about. At dinner one night, the kids all told us that they wanted to try camping, so we got some camping equipment and gave it a try at a national reserve. It turned out great, and the kids had a blast. The campfire and roasting marshmallows were a big hit. Several times when the marshmallows would catch fire, I would see a ball of fire aiming for my head and would duck to not get hit with the gooey, flaming mess. 4 girls and 1 boy can giggle a lot when they have fun with flaming marshmallows. I adopted Olivia's 2 girls that way. Everyone in the house has the same last name. It works easier that way. A month ago, at our regular date night, Olivia surprised me yet again. She is a wonderful woman and gives me immeasurable joy every day. That night, after we ordered dinner, I noted that she didn't want a glass of wine with her meal and instead asked for water. That by itself is no big deal, but when she reached in her clutch purse, she brought out a small white plastic stick that I immediately recognized and then handed it to me. Then I understood. She smiled as she handed it to me. You might want to have a peek at this, dear. Holy crap, she was pregnant. My wife of less than a year, the woman that I share 5 children with, is going to have another. Wow. We had a busy time getting ready for the new baby. The biggest surprise of all was that Olivia was going to have twins. Oh my, we would have 7 children. Good thing I got a promotion at work and now headed the legal division for the company. My salary and bonuses would nicely handle the finances needed to look after this gang, and we would be able to put aside money for education later. We bought a cottage on a lake about 2 hours' drive from home as a place to escape to for the summer months. We began renovating and expanding it to make space for 7 active and growing children. In hindsight, I am a very lucky man. A disastrous marriage was ended, and a new one began all in the space of 2 years. What was a very difficult time for me and my children when Natalie decided to leave us for someone else turned out fine when I was lucky enough to find a wonderful woman that I could love and that loved me and the kids. Every morning as we began the organized chaos of life with a large family, I took a moment to be thankful for the good fortune that I had when I met Olivia and her girls, and now with 2 more to make our life complete. Our kids all got along, and we were a family, and my wife was the hottest woman I knew. As for Natalie, her life was what she made of it. She and Liam fizzled out not long after our divorce. It seems that Liam was mostly interested in screwing married women, and not long after, he left Natalie for another woman that he had coaxed away from her husband. Natalie continued to work as a book editor and moved to a 1-bedroom apartment that she could work from. I heard that she was dating, but other than that, I didn't really know much about her life. Once when Olivia and I were out with the kids while she was pregnant with the twins, I was sure that I saw Natalie midtown walking somewhere. She couldn't miss us walking as a gaggle with the older kids holding the hands of the younger ones. We didn't stop to talk to her at the time. I know she was watching us as we walked by. She might have been thinking that it could have been her walking with the kids. Maybe she was thinking that she was glad it was not her having to look after children and a husband. Who knows for sure? As for me, well, I'm just glad I have a wonderful wife and all those kids. I wouldn't trade them or my life for anything. Thanks for watching. What would you do if you were in Tom's shoes? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more thought-provoking stories.